Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to what is the penultimate round of the Polyphony Digital Trophy by GTRC. We are at round 7 of 8, and this time we are at what is probably the second fastest on average lap time of the season. Definitely not the most high-speed track because the finale will be at the high-speed ring, but for now we are at Kyoto Yamagiwa, and things have gotten close in the championship since last week. Looking at the four ends, we have only an 8-point gap between the championship leader, Will Sutter's 312 points, to Jake Witchell, who'd missed around earlier this season on 304 points. So there is title fight on. Title fight which, at this rate, Jake Birkenhead will be very much and securely out of, missing this round, but only on 290 points. So not a million miles off, but if he ends up missing this round, then that will be all she wrote for Jake Witchell or Jake Birkenhead's title hopes. Looking in the constructors, though, is where it gets interesting, as we have a tied leader at the moment. There are two constructors leading on the exact same points, Honda and Toyota, both neck and neck on 577 points. Nissan still third, 529, but the gap between Nissan and McLaren has closed to just 5 points. McLaren on 524 after a very strong week from all of the McLaren drivers last week, getting all 3 wins between them. Now, speaking of last week, we have 2 people this week who have to use the double mediums, both McLaren drivers, as I mentioned. The first of which, on track at least, is Luke Clark, having to use the double mediums, winning 2 races last week. Very dominant performance from him, very good stuff. The other one is first-time race winner. Is he on track? That's a good question. Is he on track? You know what? He is, yeah. First-time race winner, Zsolt Langstadler. His first win in the GTRC, and I recently found out his first win since 2022. And I've known this guy for a long time, and it does feel like a long time since he's won a win. So good on him. Good on him to win for the first time since 2 years, really. It's about time. Don't you think? About damn time. But we are just about to get going for qualifying. Regular format for qualifying, as always, we'll get 10 minutes. Fastest lap determines the grid order. And I believe the first car out on track looks to be Che Easton, if I'm not mistaken. Now, bit of news this week, actually. We have, I think he's a newcomer. I think he's not done a race with us before. So a driver I'm very familiar with, he's a good friend of Chubb's, is Callum. I don't know his last name, but Callum Kalsper, currently in PX, but we'll just look at him. He's in one of the Nissans in a very modern styled Gazoo livery, and he's quick. Let's make no mistake about it, he is very quick. One of the quicker drivers tonight. I'm sure we can expect quite a bit out of him from qualifying on his debut. News last week as well is with those 2 new race winners to the season, we have now beaten the all-time GTRC record for most wins in a season. Now at 10, I think it was, 10 different winners in a season. And the majority of the grid here have also won a race. I mean, you know, just looking at the left-hand side, everyone in that top 8, other than Kalsper, because he hasn't raced it, has won a race this season. That just really tells you all you need to know. This has been such a mixed bag this season. In other news as well, we no longer have Sophie. He was banned from the league for reasons which I'm sure if you've been following us the whole season are pretty obvious. He also caused a bunch of issues off the track as well, so not too many are upset about that decision. And not anyone's upset about that decision in general, so other than him, he's upset. As you'd expect, he's upset. But he's taken it well. So we'll now go on board with Che Easton, Captain Jobs, for his first flying lap and the first flying lap of this qualifying session. Taking the wide approach into this long turn 1. It's back onto the throttle halfway through the corner. You want to get the exit all over the curve, and then it's these really tricky uphill S's. Not many cars can take these flat, but I believe the Supra is one of them. And there he goes. He does take it flat. So already pretty good start to the lap. Now downhill into another left-hander, very similar to the first corner, but the radius is slightly more obtuse. And it's a good exit from Chubbs there as well. So he's on for a good lap this one, but the most technical corner of the circuit is this upcoming hairpin. Not quite, or chicane should I say, not quite def chicane. You need to just hop it over the curbs. He misses the first apex, but he gets the one afterwards perfectly, and then the other one just You need to nail all three of those apexes to get them perfect. You see, just mess up the final one slightly, and then it's down into the braking for this hairpin. You want to go straight for the apex on this one. He gets a really nice exit on this, no sliding whatsoever. This is going to be a very impressive lap from Easton for the first time round. And then finally, the last proper technical corner of the circuit. Hops it over the curb. Really nice exit. All over that exit curb. And this is a really tidy lap from Easton. Good representative. A bit wide at the final corner. Is he going to hit the apex? Just wide of it slightly, but what do I know? Che Easton comes over the line for provisional pole. It is a 33.6, so not a bad place to start, but Witchell already takes that provisional pole away from him with a 1 minute 33 dead. And the gap is over half a second between first and second at the moment, as Will Sutter's, Jake Witchell's now championship rival, just rounds out in P2 for the time being. Chubbs with that lap did did end up getting third, which is not a bad lap. It looked very strong indeed, but where did that lap from Witchell come from? Another return to form is Adam Hands. Look at him up in the top four. Haven't seen much from him since his race win, really. It's been a struggle since that race win at Grand Valley, but maybe this could be his redemption. You want to end the season on a high. It is the penultimate round. You want to end the season on a high. Impressive stuff from our debutant tonight as well. Kausper into the top 5 already. And last week's race winner, Jolt Langstadler, quickest of the McLarens. Luke Clark slotting in just behind him. And the other McLaren, Joe Wheaton. We'll just watch Cal for this one round. He's currently behind Luke Clark, the aforementioned. Doesn't look like Clark is holding him up too much. In fact, Kausper's probably getting a slipstream on this one round. Just through the exit of this corner, he is going to have the slipstream down the straight. Is it an improvement from the newcomer? It is, up to P2. Impressive stuff from him. That slipstream helped him massively, and I saw that one coming from a million miles away, to be honest. Looked like a good lap, and the slipstream, well, did nothing but benefit him. So Kausper, the newcomer, is up into the top 2. Thorejo moves himself into the top 8. There we see him go to P7. And we also saw Luke Clark improve on that lap, as you'd expect him to. He's fighting up ahead there for Joe 90 and Yannick Payton. We don't have the other Yannick that we had last week, Yannick de Gauper. Just got Yannick Payton this week. And looks like these two are probably battling, for reasons unbeknownst to me. But the gap between them and pace is not much, so maybe they might want to work together, see if they can both get themselves up the order by providing slipstream for one another. Quiet session so far for Stein van der Hart as well, following a very quiet week too. Had 2 very good rounds where he was on absolutely stellar form, Blue Moon Bay and at Sardinia. Now, however, and last week, it looks like he's kind of dropped a bit off again, but he has every opportunity to bring it back. As I've said about a million times, this is the penultimate round, so if you want to bring any chances to have a good end of the season, you do it here. That's not how you do it, though. Just saw him go on the grass there, but all is safe up front. Is it a new fastest? Not quite from Jake Witchell, but Jake Witchell has a 2/10 lead to the newcomer Cal, and he's already said to Callum that if Callum gets the chance to take a race win, Witchell will not fight him too hard for it. Witchell knows he's got more to fight for this season than a race win, so a lot of the drivers are expecting Callum to be up there, and I am too, to be honest, especially with that qualifying time, if it's representative of his overall pace. But just a reminder, the gap between Witchell and Sutters is 8 points going into this round. Sutters with the advantage. Jake Witchell missing a round earlier this season. He missed round 2. So did I, actually. We both missed round 2. He missed it to tonsillitis. But he is now back and has been back the entire season. And he's just done nothing but close that gap every single week, to the point now where he has a genuine title fight. But that does not mean we're counting out Will Sutters. We are just counting in Jake Witchell. Will Sutters still has the advantage, and he looks like he's ramped up the pace this week. After a couple weeks where he's been a bit nowhere really compared to the pack. I mean, he's been getting enough points. That's all he needed to do, but he's not really been contending for race wins for a while now. But looks like he's back. With this qualifying session, looks like he's back, and he's in the tow of a 2-car slipstream at the moment. Easton as well on impressive form, very close to Sutters in lap times, and has been for the past few rounds now. Sutters and Easton have battled fiercely in a couple of races. Easton, if we remember, had that brilliant defending action at Sardinia on the mediums, and it's an improvement for Sutters, but not enough to get into the top 2. Stein de Hart, though, moves himself into the top 5, and that is what I was talking about. We haven't seen much from Stein for a while now, but this could be his chance to return to form. Into the top 5 goes Stein de Hart. But yeah, as I was talking about Easton, we've seen plenty battles of him and Will Sutters this season. I have to say, Easton is one of the best drivers when it comes to racecraft on this grid, and I mean that with all respect. I mean that completely honestly. No lies here. I think Easton is one of the best drivers when it comes to racecraft on the grid, and it's a genuine shock he hasn't won a race yet. He's just, it completely baffles me. But every time he's had that chance to win a race, it ends in what he calls the bottle. It is a bottle. Chubbs bottles it a lot. But he's not got long left to secure a win for this season. 6 races to go. Not many opportunities left. Looks like he will not be getting the fastest lap this time around. Will not be getting pole. Kalsper, is he improving? Well, Callum improving depends on Luke Clark, but I don't believe. No, Callum's just backed off there. Stein de Hart now overtakes him. So the story up front: can Sutters do anything to challenge that pole position of Jake Witchell? He's got the car for it. It is a new faster lap for Sutters, but only blue, not purple. And Sutters will get another time round. So I've completely messed that one up. Sutters will get another chance at this one. So will Jake Witchell. All to play for still. Witchell, 2 tenths down. Sutters, watching through his first sector, is he up? No, he's a second down, so Sutters is out of it. Is Callum making any improvements? Callum is matching his fastest. Chubbs, I don't think we'll be making any improvements there. Can Callum snatch pole away from the championship contender, second place, 8 points behind the leader, Jake Witchell? Can Callum do it? Can he snatch pole away? He's going purple. Is Callum on his debut qualifying session? Ooh, he could have taken that first one right, but he's taking it nice and tidy, and that's all you need through those corners. Now up the hill and to the right, into the left. Braking at the 50 marker on the circuit. Down into this hairpin, and it's really quick from Callum, this one. He has a chance here, but he's 4 tenths down on his previous fastest, so maybe this one just out of his clutches. But Witchell slowing down at the final corner. I'd imagine he maybe spun there. Oh, contact between Chubbs and in the background there, Easton and Sutters came together, I believe, held up hands slightly. So maybe there won't be any changes to the order. It looks like there won't be. So your pole sitter for the penultimate qualifying session of the season is Jake Witchell, followed by the newcomer, the debutant, Callum in P2. P3 and 4 is all Supra, as Sutters and Easton round out the second row, and then P5, yet again another Supra, so 4 Supras in the top 5. We have Stein de Hart, and then the first of the McLarens is Luke Clark in P6. 7th and 8th falls in the hands of Mr. Hans, Adam Hans, in P7, and then we have Ruben Thorejao, the Spaniard, in P8. P9 is Jolt Langstadler, followed by Yannick Verpeyten, who rounds out the top 10, and then Joe 90. Or Joe Whedon, should I say, in last place. Well, won't be last place on the grid because we have Kieran Kevin racing with us tonight for, I believe, the first time this season. So he's been signed up all season, but I don't think he's actually raced with us all season. So they're just resetting the grid now to allow Kieran to race with us. And we should be getting going soon. There's no point spectating because the lobby will reset, but that was quite the interesting qualifying session, I think it's fair to say. A good debut so far from Callum. If he can capitalise and make that a win, I'm sure there will not be too many upset. As we said at the start of the session, Witchell is fully willing to help Callum get that first race win. As I said, Witchell has a lot more to fight for than race wins tonight, and Sutters would be doing this first race on the medium compound. But yeah, Witchell has a lot more to fight for than race wins. He knows that he needs to maximise points instead of getting wins, and he's not got much longer left to do it. The fight's very much on between him and Sutters. Sutters making the bold move to start on the mediums this race, Witchell on the soft tyres by the looks of it. Same with Langshadler, who's also on the mediums. I think they are the only two. They are the only two. Oh no, Witchell is also going on the medium, so Witchell has responded. Is that a bluff from Sutters? Perhaps. But Witchell is on the medium tyres, so is Sutters. It's all looking good for Callum, this one. That's all that means. It's looking very good for Callum. Starting on the soft tyres, right by two people on the mediums. Sutters, ooh, here we go. Going to get the intel for the drivers if anyone's listening. Sutters in the pits on the mediums. Is he going to switch tyres? Ruben Thorejo's also gone on the mediums. It's a bit snakish this, watching if a driver's gone on the mediums, but you know, just keep an eye on it in the background. Yeah, Langshadler's on the mediums. Hans, the softs. Same for Payton on the softs. There's Easton, Callum also on the soft tyres. Will Sutters is staying on their medium tyres. Jake Witchell looks to be doing the same. Hans has just moved on to the medium tyres. Thorejo is still on the mediums. Very interesting to see the combination of strategies tonight. I'd imagine some of these people on the medium tyres are probably thinking, are the softs even going to make the full race distance? I did some testing with the guys, and they do. They certainly do make the full race distance. It's just they don't do it very comfortably. You do feel the tyres drop off by the end of the race. So watch out for tyre wear, especially for the McLaren drivers. Easton is also on the medium tyres now. A lot of drivers on the medium tyres. They've all opted for the mediums this time round, set for Luke Clark on the softs. Keep an eye between you and Joe. You two were very close in qualifying, so I will definitely be keeping an eye on you two. Make your way up the grid then, Yannick. Come on, mate. No, you can do it. So here we are for the first of the three races tonight in what is the penultimate round of the first season. 5 red lights. And we are away. Looks like no one really jumped the start there. Good launch from Luke Clark in the background there, as you'd expect. Good launch as well from Callum, who moves his way up into the lead. And Callum now leads into turn 1. So Callum, for the first time racing in GTRC, he leads his first race in GTRC. And this is really, if he just ends here, stop the count here in the words of Donald Trump, this is all Callum needs. But he's got a very fast Luke Clark behind him. Luke Clark, who is on form at the moment following 2 race wins. Could this be the order? Fighting going on in the background there is Langshadler just going around the outside of Van der Hart, but he's also got Thorejo in the mix. And Langshadler stays on the track. Van der Hart leaves him room. Now side by side going down the hill. It's 3 wide going into the chicane. Thorejo just has to back out. Langshadler as well. Ooh, what happened there? That is Jake Witchell. Something happened to Jake Witchell. He's had contact with his title rival. Let's look at a replay of that. Jake Witchell just looks like, oh, Sutters got himself on the curb there. They might have gone side by side through there, and 2 into 1 didn't work out. In the end, collision for the both of them. So I believe Sutters has waited for him, yep. So respect between the two of them, but this is not good for either of their title hopes, really. All this does is minimise the gaps that Jake could possibly gain on Sutters if he beats him. And what it does is it shakes up the top 3. Callum still leads. He's led a lap in the GTRC now on his debut. and he's making the gap to Luke Clark. Also, very interestingly, that moves Stein van der Haar up into the top 3, where he belongs. Stein van der Haar in the top 3 for what's becoming a really normal occurrence so far this season. We've never seen it in any other season of GTRC, but this time around we are getting used to seeing Stein in these top 3 positions as well. Ruben Thorejo in the top 4. In a car which it looks like he's having a bit of struggles with. Seeing the wobbling going up the S's there. Easton looks to be sizing up a move on Hans. Easton certainly looked at it, and the gap is there, and Easton's going for it. And Hans will just have to back out of that one, but Hans stays around the outside. A very lovely defending from Adam Hans. He holds it around the outside, and now Easton has to go for the dive into the chicane, and Hans just has to back out of that one. No way he's keeping hold of that one. Battling in the background there between, who was that? Whedon and Kevin, I believe that was. Whedon holding the position very well. Kevin in a livery we haven't seen tonight. Looks very Dominic Gabinski livery-esque. If you know, you know. Sutters and Witchell now fighting against Yannick Verpeyten. Verpeyten has to let these through because these two are going for a championship and they are not waiting around for anyone. Looking back up the lead though, Callum has increased his gap. Callum is absolutely flying, now led for a second lap. Clark just keeping behind him. The gap is increasing slightly between the two of them, but Clark, this is where he can really dig his feet into the ground and start moving his way up. Van der Haar as well has made a tiny bit of a gap to Thorejo, and Thorejo still having to contend with a car behind him. This time it's no longer the Skyline, this time it's the Supra. And Easton is looking mighty fast at this stage of the race. Easton getting a very, very good launch through those corners compared to the McLaren, and he could be sizing up a move coming into the chicane now. He goes for the wide approach to get the exit, or better entry speed into the braking zone. Here he goes down the hill. He's not quite close enough to make the move, but can he go for the dive bomb? Not quite. Again, not quite close enough to make the move here, but he's pushing Thorejo all the way through this corner. And I can imagine he'll want to get past soon. If he's going to do it anywhere, it's going to be this hairpin. Thorejo goes defensive. Easton for the outside. Can Easton make it round the outside? He's on the mediums. I think they're both on the mediums here. And Thorejo covers that one nicely. So Easton getting a bit of his own medicine there, really. Feathered back down the grid. What's going on here? Witchell and Sutters still fighting one another. Witchell, I believe, might be working with Sutters potentially to get back up the grid. Both smart drivers, you'd imagine they might have thought of that, but they are battling once again. Battling as well is Chubbs and Hans. So Adam Hans got past Easton somewhere there. I'd imagine Easton probably made some kind of mistake. But Easton is just making that move back again down the inside. No pushing and shoving between the two of them, leaving plenty of racing room. What you love to see. Hans now gets to the inside for the next corner, and beautiful defending from Hans. Side by side still. Side by side for 4 corners now. Still side by side, and Easton just has to back out of that one. But great racing between these two. Very solid stuff. Oh, Easton, definitely looks down the inside just to let Hans know that he's still there and he's very much looking for that position. But it's not enough to make the overtake this time round. Sutters now still ahead of Witchell, and I believe they are closing that gap to Kevin up ahead. And the battle between Hans and Easton continues. Hans with the advantage. Easton just making a mistake through that corner. Oh, speaking of mistakes, it's Stein van der Haar. Oof, not great from him. Let's have a look at this one. How did this one play out? Just looked like he got all over the curb there, and he did, yeah, hop the curb and then off onto the grass there. Good job keeping it out of the wall and keeping it from spinning as well. Very good effort from Stein van der Haar, and he still stays P3. Luckily, he built a big gap between himself and Thorejo, but good stuff from Stein for saving that one, I think it's fair to say. Very good stuff from him. Gap between Hans and Easton stays the same. Shall we have a quick look at that battle at the back? And it is side by side through the first corner. I thought these two were close. But Witchell again just having to miss out on this one, and this is not good for Witchell's title hopes. This is for the title, these two. And Sutters is doing a very good job holding off Witchell in what could be a decisive race for his championship hopes. We were discussing actually quite recently that Witchell came, or Sutters should I say, came very, very close to winning a GTRC championship in season 11 of the World Touring Car Championship. He missed out on that one because his teammate wouldn't give him a podium. So it's, you know, it's all about those little, and by the way, his teammate was a reserve teammate, wasn't even a full-time driver, it was Sophie. And Sophie wouldn't give him the podium, and that would have been the points that Sutters would have needed to win that championship in the end. So these tiny margins matter. He needs to finish ahead of Witchell at every opportunity, else he's not going to win this championship, and somebody who isn't going to win anything is Langstadler. What happened there? Very similar to Van der Haar, but it looks like this time Langstadler couldn't save it like Van der Haar did. A lot of people having issues at this corner. Did he just hop over the curb the same way? He missed the curb completely and then got it on the exit there and spun it round. So unfortunate for Langstadler. Really shows how impressive that was that Van der Haar saved that like he did. Maybe he put Witchell and Sutters off guard a bit, and Joe 90 is pitting. Whedon has pitted. I'm assuming his tyres are bad enough that he needed to pit, but jeez. Do they really get that bad? Let's let Ruben. I mean, Ruben's on the mediums. Ruben's still going fine, but Ruben's on the mediums, so maybe that makes sense. And Sutters has now gone past Kevin, and Kevin is now in the way of his Skyline teammate. Or over the exit curb there, and here goes Witchell going for the move down the inside of Kevin. Kevin's not going to make that one difficult. He's not going to hold up a championship battle on his debut race. But the gap in that one has increased between Sutters and Witchell, so that fight has subsided for now. The fight that hasn't subsided is the Hans Easton saga. Hans still holding out Easton, but Easton is closing the gap slightly, and they are both closing the gap to Thorejo, and they're all three of them closing the gap to Van der Haar on merit of Van der Haar's mistake earlier. Easton now tucking into the slipstream, but Hans has just fallen out of the slipstream of Thorejo, so Easton now gets his chance. I imagine this lap he's going to go for an overtaking attempt. Question is, where do you do it? These two pretty similar cars, I think it's fair to say. The Nissan, I think, has a slight upper hand on straight line speed, but the Supra is very quick around here, and now this is where Chubbs has decided, I'm going to go for it here. Looks to the inside. Is he going to brake late enough to make an impression? Hans also brakes very late though, and they both brake so late that now Thorejo is getting in the way of this battle. Hans slots back into P6. Easton takes P5, but Hans is going back on this one. But Chubbs is also going on the inside of Thorejo. Oof, that could have ended poorly there. But Hans did the correct thing of pulling out of that one, and Easton in the end pulled out the one with Thorejo. Hans now back alongside with Thorejo, or with Easton, shall I say, but falls to the outside, can't make an impression. It's a lovely little battle we are having here. And Thorejo is very much getting involved with this one. We've seen many overtaking attempts on him, but you just see in the background, there is Sutters and Witchell, both catching back up to the top six. Catching fast, might I add. Very quick, those two. Not wasting any time to get back up into the high scoring points positions. Here comes Hans in the slipstream of Easton. Oh, Easton does make that one well. Hans wasn't quite alongside there, so Easton didn't have to leave in the gap, and that door closed very quickly for Hans. Good stuff from Che. And now Che Easton all over the back of Ruben Thorejo. Thorejo to the outside again. This is one we've seen Easton do a couple times this race. Contact there, there's door banging, but Easton was alongside. He wasn't entitled to that space. Maybe he could have turned in a bit earlier. Now Thorejo is back on him though. All square, all fair. Easton defending well. Thorejo goes for the inside. And Easton covers that move nicely. Well done, Che Easton. Takes it round the outside there. Just turns into the inside of the next corner. Another chance here for Thorejo, and Thorejo goes for the dive bomb as you'd expect him to. Hans is also getting involved with that one. Thorejo gets his move back. Adam Hans still settling for P6, but it looked like he was involved with this one. But these three fighting non-stop means nothing, but you can see the two championship contenders looming in the background there. There's Sutters, there's Witchell. And Hans and Easton are still fighting. Hans goes around the outside, and I think Thorejo might be struggling on pace because these two are absolutely going for it, and they are still quicker than Thorejo. Hans has fallen back a bit out of that one. Maybe that wasn't the best overtaking attempt. Now Hans should be looking in his rearview mirrors at the championship leader, Will Sutters. And this could very well be decisive here now. Thorejo just really struggling through these uphill S's, and it's now Easton all over the back of him again. Was that a mistake from Hans we just saw there? He looked very sideways through that corner. Easton settles for P5 through that corner. Sutters goes past Hans. So does Witchell. I believe Hans might have just let them through there, saying, I'm not getting involved with this one. And rightly so. Non-interference. Good policy to have, but he is. There you go. Hans just pulls behind Witchell. So, good sign of sportsmanship there. Hans letting these two title contenders have their fight. Is Thorejo going to do the same, though? No. Thorejo, he defends that position against, or does he? Sutters goes for the late move. Thorejo leaves the gap. Sutters goes for the late move. And now it is all Witchell trying to get past the Spaniard now. Side by side. Is Thorejo going to make that move? He didn't make the move, and all he did was hold up Witchell there. Slow exit from the Spaniard, just really slowing down the Nissan driver behind him. And now the Nissan driver who tries to go around the outside, can he get the old switchback done? Not quite covered on the exit by Thorejo in the McLaren. We are running on to the final lap now, and the order has stayed the same up front, as Callum has made a mighty fine lead in the background with the fastest lap as well. We haven't really covered it much because of this amazing battle going on back here. But Easton now has to contend with his Supra teammate. For the first time, Easton has clean air, and he's got a Supra behind him in Will Sutters, and Will Sutters will be egging for that position. He needs that position for his championship. Easton, on the other hand, just wants to get the best position he can for his race. Ooh, wide from Sutters there. And Easton goes defensive, goes back to the outside. Sutters, do you reckon he'll get a move here? It's all possible coming up to the hairpin now. Hans in the background just got past Thorejo. Easton on the inside, but Sutters even more inside, and there is contact there, but Sutters makes the move. Easton, can he go for the switchback? Oh, he's certainly there for the switchback. And these two are still side by side. I'm going to have to cut away from them though, because for the first time we have 11 winners in a single season, and the 11th to come is Callum on his debut race. Clark finishing second, Stein finishing third, and where is Sutters? Sutters is fourth, and he's just taken Easton. So Sutters just about gets Easton at the very break. And Easton pulls to the inside, so the gap has increased between the title two. And it's Hans in 7th, Thorejo 8th, Kevin on a debut in 9th, and then it's Yannick Verpeyten in P10, who will start on the pole position for the reverse grid race. Langshadler drives through the pits at the end, Michael Schumacher style, because why not? And Joe Whedon finishes in last place. So many things to talk about this race. What a win from Callum. Great debut win from him. There he is. clean race bonus. Didn't get the fastest lap in the end. Who did get the fastest lap? Oh, it was Callum. I don't know why I didn't say fastest lap. Well, there you go. So Callum, for the first time this season, and for the first race he's ever done, is a race winner in GTRC. Which is... How many people have won on their GTRC debut? I've won on my GTRC debut, but that was because it was the GTRC's first ever race. Callum's won. I think Jake Witchell won on his debut. And that's about it. Someone's going to need to tell me. The only people I know who've won on their debut is myself, Callum, and Jake Witchell. So if anyone knows who else has won on their debut to this league, not just this season, but GTRC in general, do let me know. But impressive stuff from Callum. P2, Luke Clark. P3, Steinmetzer Hart. So good performances from the two of them. And then it's Will Sutters making the lead at the top bigger, as he puts a car between himself and Witchell, that car being Easton. P7, Adam Hans, after a impressive battle with himself and Threho and Easton up ahead. Threho 8th. Kevin, quiet race, but it's a P9, good enough. And Yannick Verpeyten with the pole position in this race. Langshadler with a 3-second penalty at the very end there, Jesus. He just about edges out Joe Whedon for last place. But I wish I could have caught any of the other action on the track there, but we had a three-way battle for about half the race there, and that was a splendid battle. And could be critical for who wins this championship as well. Do not count out anyone of this one. It's definitely an advantage to Will Sutters, even more so now. I think the gap is just over 10 points. But for Sutters to even gain that advantage in the first place is very good. So we will go for a break, just so I can rest my voice. So there we are. Lots of the other drivers very happy with that one. Callum changing the record once more after the record was broken twice last week. It was equalled last week, then it was made to a 10. Oh, I think it was broken. It was broken twice last week, sorry. It was equalled at Sardinia, it was broken last week, and then broken once again, and now we are at 11 different winners, up from the previous record of 8 different winners. And it's very good, very good. It's been a great season, great racing from everyone this season. And look, it's Ricky. Rick Debris back for another race. Obviously, if you remember last time he raced, he won, and we interviewed him that race and we said, are you going to race again? He said maybe. This is his maybe. Rick Debris will be joining for the last race and will be put at the back of the grid. Yannick wants to win this one. I mean, he's starting on pole. He's got a good opportunity to win this one. Okay, yeah, Chubbs has changed the room settings. So while we're in this little break, if you are enjoying the action tonight, definitely, well, I'm not sure what leaving a like on the stream does, but funny number goes up, so leave a like. And if you want to see the finale next week, then subscribe and press the bell so you get notified when the finale starts. It'll be this time next week on Wednesday. And it will hopefully be an exciting decider to the championship, because tonight, I don't think it's getting decided tonight. Sutters just made the lead slightly bigger for Witchell, and there was contact between the two of them earlier on in this race. They both waited for each other, so there's nothing really stewards can do anything about that, but that contact could be very impactful for the fate of the championship, to make it sound dramatic. And if we take, this is a message for Chubbs, if we take any longer, I might have to end the stream early because I need to leave for work tonight, so chop chop. Not really too sure what we're waiting for at the moment. The grid's now been finally set. What order are these? So Rick is last, so yeah, we need to get going now. And we are getting going. There we go. Sorry, I don't mean to be miserable and rush people on. I get very paranoid. I need to get paid. Here we are for the last standing start of the night and the first reverse grid of the night. Your front two is Yannick Verpaeten, followed by Kieran Kevin, and then the third or second row is Ruben Thorejo, Stein van der Hart, and the third row, Adam Hans and Jake Witchell. We have the 5 red lights. And we are away. Kevin getting a very good launch there, already ahead of Verpaeten. Someone else getting a very good launch there is Hans. Got a very poor launch. I believe that was Witchell in the background. Very, very bad launch. But Verpaeten retakes that race lead. We'll see the experience of the entire season this time around. And Kevin's on the medium, so this is all Yannick Verpaeten. Adam Hans was looking for the move there, but not quite. Oh, God. Will Sutters is making his way up the grid, just behind Adam Hans now. What's happened to Jake Witchell? He's just losing positions here. I think he got caught out by something and he's now just losing positions to the drivers around him. Oh, very late move from Joe Whedon there, and Witchell's off. I'm not sure how I feel about that one. There's nothing really he could have done on the re-entry there, but Jesus. It's very opportunistic from him, a bit too much so. There goes Sutters. Speaking of opportunistic, but this one was good from Sutters this time round. And now it's Sutters P2 gaining lots of positions through that overtake. But who are the drivers do we think can win this one? It'd be nice for Yannick to go for a race win, but Sutters is having none of that. Someone else who could go for a good first race win is Che Easton, and it'd be about bloody time if he does go for it. He's just trying to edge ahead of Kieran Kevin now. And I believe Yannick was giving the slipstream there, maybe unintentionally, to Kieran. To Easton. He would have given it to Kieran if he didn't move, but here goes Easton. Easton now behind Verpaeten, and he is catching very quickly to the race leader. Easton has a lot of pace in this race. Oh, and I didn't even know it. Is Easton going to push Verpaeten? Easton's going for a signature move. He did so often in the last race and just caught Verpaeten off guard there. Great overtake from Easton. Can he stay ahead? Verpaeten does his best to hold ahead, but not quite there. And Easton is so good at that overtake on that corner. He's been doing it all evening so far, and it's caught everyone off guard. Now his charge continues for the race lead. But Will Sutters, when he's out in clean air, is a difficult person to catch. So Easton needs some perfect qualifying style laps this time round. None of his usual behaviour. That would be nice. Looks like Easton maybe just doesn't have the pace to catch Sutters through these corners. keep an eye on this one as Witcher has also moved his way up. Oh, I say he moved his way up, but Verpayton defended that one very nicely. Good job, Yannick Verpayton. Verpayton now holding the inside as Witcher goes for the outside and hands on the inside as him. Verpayton defends that really well. Witcher will now force to the outside of what will become turn one. Side by side down the straight. Going for the side slipstream. How many times did I say side there in that sentence? Oh my word, what an overtake from Witcher. Sweeps around the outside. There's another side. And a side to Witcher that we haven't seen too often as well. Brilliant overtake around the outside. Very aggressive. And now Verpayton moves back down to fourth, and he's got hands to contend with this time round. We'll just check further back down the grid. What's happening here? It is Callum and Stein, the two super drivers. One on mediums, one on softs. Callum is the one on the mediums, aforementioned, shall I say. And why don't we check up on Ricky? What's Ricky doing? Battling Langstadler by the looks of it. Something might have happened between the two of them. But Ricky's lost his playmate now, Selfie's been banned. You know, he's not got someone to punt off now. if you remember Blue Moon Bay. Oh, very wide for Adam Hands. I'm glad we caught that one. He did get past for Peyton, but not really the lines he wants to be taking if he wants to climb his way up the grid. And it will probably come to no surprise that it is Witchell, Easton, and Sutters, Easton and Witchell, should I say. Just like it was at the end of the last race, this time they are racing for the podium, and through goes Stein Van der Hart on Callum with the tyre advantage. Callum, I'd imagine, is not going to fight that one back too hard, and I believe he is pushing Van der Hart along. Is he? No, he's fighting that one. But is it going to work around the outside for Callum? Van der Hart on the tyre advantage, and he just goes through on the exit. No competition there between these two. Well, plenty of competition, but Van der Hart with the better exit in the end. Clark now has closed the gap on for Peyton. Peyton is going to do his best to defend. It's Clark on the mediums. Clark is on his medium tyres. Yep, that is his first two, I believe. Didn't use them in the last race, so Clark having to use two sets of mediums tonight, and this is the first of two. So yeah, just dropping back a bit there for Peyton. Really good pace so far, this one. Holding that top five, holding it off from Luke Clark, obviously P2 in the last race, two-time race winner last week. And we did see, we missed a move up ahead. Can we look at it back? Witchell just goes for the outside of this corner, which turns into the inside of the hairpin, and it's just a textbook overtake at a hairpin. Through goes Witchell, and Easton just forced to let that one through. Nothing wrong with that. So Witchell is now up into second with a big gap to catch if he wants to take that first place. But it's all possible for Jake Witchell. We've seen him catch bigger gaps before, especially if you followed this guy in different racing leagues. And he's just got the fastest lap as well. Yeah, I've seen Witchell get more difficult gaps closed than what he's got in Sutters. I've seen him do it on faster drivers as well than Sutters. So just needs to get everything perfect. But Sutters, not to discount him whatsoever, he is on flying form tonight. He has done something to his pace this week, and whatever it was good. Definitely benefiting him by quite the margin. Battling now in the background between Callum and Joe Whedon. Joe Whedon already cooked those tyres. I don't know what he does to that front right soft, and there's contact there between Callum and Joe. I feel like Joe was understeering off regardless. Through goes Callum. And Joe, do you reckon he's going to pit already? It's not great for him this week, is it? Not whatsoever. Sorry, wrong button. Any fighting going on? Treat us to anything, please, lads. Clark is still on the back of Peyton. Can Clark get it done this time round? We said before, Peyton has really good pace so far this race. So Clark will have to do his damnedest to get it done. McLaren not really the strongest around here. Clark is doing a good job to bring in a good haul of points for Team McLaren as they chase down Team Nissan. For now, Nissan with 2 drivers this week, 3 including Ricky now. It's looking harder and harder for that McLaren team. Payton just stays ahead. So, shall we look at the top 2? Gap has closed slightly, but not enough really for Witchell to mount an attack. Sutters probably needs to make some kind of mistake here for Witchell. If not, this is going to be another points increase in the gap between the 2 of them. This is not what Witchell needs whatsoever. What Witchell will gain out of this is Sutters having to use 2 sets of mediums next week if Sutters ends up winning this one. And is that really what Sutters wants? Reminder, next week is the finale, and next week is at High Speed Ring. All it takes is for you to fall off in one corner because you're on their medium tyres, fall out of the slipstream, and you've lost the race. It's as simple as that. High Speed Ring is a very strategic circuit, even if it is just about 5 corners with, what is it, 1 or 2 to the right, all of the others to the left. It's a very technical circuit indeed. A lot of strategy comes involved with that, but we're not there yet. We are still at the 2nd highest speed track of the season. Kyoto Yamagiwa. We're about halfway through the night now, halfway through race 2. And it's been a very exciting round, this one. Luke Clark, is he going to get another attack on Yannick? No. Yeah, it's been interesting. It's a different kind of racing here. It's not really the kind of racing I'm a fan of, to be completely honest. Like, it's not overly exciting tonight. Certainly Sardinia and even Deep Forest were better than this. Blooming Bay as well had very good racing. Ooh, Steinman to Hart. All over that curve. I think he just about kept out of the wall there, maybe. But he does not want to be doing that. Luke Clark is really struggling to make ground on Yannick Verpayten at the moment. Verpayten doing an incredibly good job to hold that P5. Would be his best result of the season, I believe, if he finishes that. And hard work paying off, I think it's fair to say. He's put in a lot of practice this week. And it's certainly paying off. It looks like he's got much better pace this week than he has in previous weeks. That's all you need to do, really. Just put in the time and effort, and it will come to you. Oh, saying that though, Luke, very aggressive. Luke Clark, very aggressive on the inside there, and that's Yannick off. Yannick is way off in P8 now. I'm not sure about that one. I mean, Luke was there, but it was very aggressive. So, perhaps I jinxed it there. Commentator's curse. But Stein now is in P5. Did Luke drop up? No, they are battling. Stein takes that P5. Stein had to heart into P5 now. But yeah, that was interesting between those two. If I was on the receiving end of that, I would be quite upset. If I was on the giving end, I wouldn't see the problem. So I understand it from both viewpoints, and I'd imagine that might end up being something I might have to look at. Gap up front is increasing, so this looks all Will Sutters now. It's just impossible for Jake Witchell to get this one, I think. So Witchell will have to settle for second best behind Sutters once again. But the gap is so close between these two that all it takes is one bad race from Sutters and it all falls apart. Same with Witchell. Well, one slightly worse race than this one, and his chances start to get worse and worse. His chances are getting worse and worse with these first two races so far. At the end of this race, we will have only 40. What am I saying? At the end of this race, we will only have 4 more races left to go. 80 points on offer for these two. Who can take the most? And I'm sure next week it'll be balls to the wall between these two because there's no double mediums penalty. Think about that one, did you? Unless Will changes the rules and it's double mediums into the next race. There you go. Verpayton has caught back up to Clark. Do you reckon Verpayton's going to be generous to Clark? Let's see. Verpayton is a clean racer. I don't feel like he's going to do anything with revenge, but I'm sure he's not very happy with that one. And I'm not saying my viewpoint on it because I am seeing the full context. I'm just saying, if I was Luke, I wouldn't feel wrong whatsoever in that incident, and if I was Yannick, I'd feel like Luke had just murdered me. So there's two sides of it. Hans Van der Hart Van der Hart overtook Hans, should I say, and now he's got Callum to contend with. And Hans, oh my lord, what has he done to that front right? Adam Hans really murdering that tyre, and now it is Callum all over the back of him for what will be quite an impressive race actually, starting from P10 and using his medium tyres. P5 is nothing to snob at. That's the kind of performance we see from Jake Witchell in those kind of positions. So, further reinforcing the fact that Callum, this guy, he's good. I don't think anyone is really denying that anymore, or denying that now, shall I say. I don't think anyone denied it in the first place. He's not got much chances to gain that position left though. We've got 11 people watching the stream. So, just remember, if you, I don't know what leaving a like does, to be completely honest, but if you do it, funny number goes up. And if you do want to see next week, if you're not already subscribed, subscribe so you get the notification for when next week's stream does start, because next week is the finale to what is being an incredibly exciting season. And what's been an incredibly exciting penultimate round. There's now Callum all over the back of Hans for the final lap. This could be one of Callum's last chances. Ooh, just goes wide there, but still, I think, get good enough exit. You just get a very nice exit there. And now Hans makes a slight mistake. Callum gets the chance on the inside. Is he going to go for the dive on the chicane? He is going to go for the dive. Hans, no way he can hold that one, and Callum makes it P5. And I think Hans will just be lucky enough, even though his tyre wear is that bad, I think he'll be lucky enough just to stay with P6 here, because the gap between himself and Clark is rather substantial. But going up to the lead, the championship lead grows as Will Sutters takes his first win in a very long time. Since earlier in the season, I believe, was the last time he won. Laguna Seca was the last time he won. Now it is win number 2 this season, and the championship gap increases. Jake Witchell takes P2, the best he could have done there, and Captain Chubbs with a quiet race but a good P3, getting familiar with that position. And Steinman to Hart as well, very good performance from him once again. P4, P5 for the mediums from Cal on P10 at the start. Then it is Adam Hans just about holding out P6 with that dead tyre. Luke Clark P7, Yannick Verpayton P8. That is one of his best results of the season, and he had a lot of pace this time round. It's a shame he didn't finish higher, but good work from him nonetheless. Ruben Thorejo P9, and then it's Rick Debris in 10th place. He'll be starting on pole in the rolling start race next. And then Kieran Kevin in P11, Joel Langsadler at P12, and then last place is occupied by Joe 90. But championship getting spicy. Well, it's been spicy this whole time, but Will Sutters gains that gap even more. If he gains it again in this next race, this is going to be very difficult for Witchell going into the final round. Bear in mind, which was technically defending champion. Obviously, he won last season of the DTM, which is the season we won. We ran before this. So anything can happen, really. Fastest lap did go to Witchell in the end, so Witchell has got the pace. Sutters is going for a first ever GTRC championship victory, and he is doing it in style. Second win of the season, though, for Will Sutters, and he will have the double mediums next week. Jake Witchell takes P2 for tonight, or for this race, his first P2 of the night, and his many P2s this season. Che Easton rounds out the podium with a P3, and then P4 for Stein Van der Hart. Impressive stuff from him. 2 good races in a row for Van der Hart. Dutchman making very impressive work indeed. Callum with the P5, the debutant of tonight, and that was a very good race on the medium, starting P10, gaining lots of positions, making a good impression on his first medium tyre race of the GTRC. Adam Hands with a P6, and then it's Luke Clark P7. And Yannick Verpeyten rounds out the top 8. Ruben Thorejo is P9, and then your pole sitter for the reverse grid race is Rick Debris. Kieran Kevin, just outside the top 10, he will be starting 11th. And then it is Joel Langshadler who will be starting last place, as I believe Joe Whedon has dropped out of this one. Yannick is the lone NSX. We don't have any other NSXs, because the other NSXs are, who are they there? Jake Birkenhead and Dominic Kavinsky. Neither of them are here tonight. So this is very big points in the standings for the Toyota boys. And maybe this is Constructors' Championship sealed tonight. Oh, it's a nighttime race. So we are going to get going in just a moment. I'm going to have my break again for my voice, because doing this really kills my voice. This is going to be an interesting one to watch on stream. Pitch black, especially for Super. Looks like a shadow there. Just see his headlights. He painted the car black this week for reasons. I don't know why the car's black this week. Maybe I have to ask him that in person, but I'll say that McLaren looks pretty cool in black. Any car looks cool in black. You've got your pole sitter for this final race, starting on the soft tyre. All over the grass there, just getting his practice in on the soft tyres, flashing his lights as he goes. What are we waiting for? I'm waiting for Chubbs to set the grid. So I'd just like to announce something to the stream, by the way. We are not doing interviews once again this week. However, we're going to do pre-qualifying interviews. We're going to do an interview with the 2 championship contenders just before qualifying next week. Hasn't been confirmed with Will, but I'm sure Will approve of this idea regardless. And we'll just have a little hype building between the two, and then at the very end we will invite whoever's won the championship to the party, just celebrate with them. But for now, all up in the air still. What's all up in the air especially is this race. Rick Debris leads out the grid. Ruben Thorejo, fierce combatant behind him. And then it's Yannick Verpeyten, P3. And the lights go out and we are away as Rick Debris does lead the back out quite easily. Thorejo going for the inside already, and I feel like Thorejo was there. Thorejo was very much there, and Debris I don't really think accounted for it properly. Still side by side though. And now Debris retakes that lead from Thorejo. Clark has made his way up very quickly as well. And now Thorejo again down the inside. Can't quite make it stick. Adam Hands. Oh, Adam Hands. Good times cat to him. He's just been shunted wide. Looked like there were 2 cars side by side there, and Adam Hands just got caught on the outside of it. What's happened to Kieran? all the way down back there. Kieran's, oh my god, but we are 4 wide going up the hill there momentarily. Yannick Verpeten, the leader of those cars, going 4 wide, and already it's Jake Witchell making his way up to P4 ahead of Will Sutters, crucially, but Will Sutters is right behind him. There's no cars between these two. And now it is Witchell who leads out that gaggle of cars who are still very much fighting. I do wish we didn't have to do so many nighttime races. Hate to sound like Will. Who's that in the background? Callum just going for the move there, I believe, on Adam, or Adam going for the move on him, but they were going side by side and battling. But nothing to talk about there. Something to talk about, though, is the gap between the front two. What is it? The lead switched. Got there eventually. The lead switch between the front two, and it is Ruben Thorejo currently leading this race ahead of Rick Debris. And Luke Clark is not wasting any time in catching up to the Rick Debris, but Luke is on his second set of mediums now. Second set of the two. I'm sure he will be happy to not have any more mediums next week, providing he doesn't win this race, because it can still happen. But it looks like Ruben has a lot of pace at this stage, and soon Luke will be having to look in his rearview mirrors at the skyline quickly approaching. 3 wide, just caught that in time. 3 wide for Peyton Hans Van der Hart, who is going to be the bravest going into the chicane. Looks to be Van der Hart, but Peyton very good round the outside there. But Peyton just holds off the position to all 3 of them. Van der Hart gains that position on Hans. And Hans now is going for the position again on Van der Hart. Almost 3 wide once more. But Van der Hart just makes the move stick. Oh, Verpeten! Oh, Verpeten got himself caught up there, I believe, with Easton. And yep, Easton is slowing down to let him back through. But that would look like a horrible incident, that one. Pure clumsy racing incident, that one. Very unfortunate to see. What is also unfortunate to see, unfortunate for Luke at least, is the cars behind are catching, but fortunate for him, they are not working together, they are battling. Witchell covers that inside. Sutters goes for the outside. We know that outside line is strong. Is it strong enough? Not quite. Witchell keeps that P4. And now gaining on Luke Clark, coming up the uphill S's. Looking in the background as well, Callum has joined in on this fight. 3 of the quickest drivers on track at the moment, all within close proximity. Is Witchell going to go for the move now on Luke Clark? I'm sure Will Sutters will be trying to make it through. Well, he's pushing Clark there, though, interestingly. He's pushing Clark there, trying to advantage anyone that isn't his title rival, and Clark just pulls ahead of Sutters. Now, Witchell gets the chance to make a gap, but here comes Rick Debris on the inside of Ruben Thorejo, change for the lead. Ooh, Rick Debris, I'm not sure if the gap was there, that looked very elbows out. Thorejo pushed wide, Thorejo's going back on him. It's very elbows out. And now Witchell's getting involved with this one. Witchell's been brought into the fray. Sutter's still stuck behind Clark, and Witchell's just taken the race lead. What has happened there? Witchell's taken the race lead. Thorejo, what's happened to Thorejo? What's happened to Rick Debris? Let's have a look. What the hell happened to Rick Debris? Oh, contact. I can't believe we missed that. Almost into the pit lane as well for Ricky. Contact there between Thorejo and himself. That one as well looked very clumsy. It just looked like Rick kind of turned across on Thorejo. And I mean, you could see that one ending that way from a million miles away. That was so argy-bargy between those two, and it just didn't have to be. But now, I think really order has been restored, as the 3 quickest drivers are now the top 3. Callum, the latter of those, and Sutters in the middle. Yannick has left the race due to some kind of injury. I'd like to have some more information on that. Have you hurt yourself with the wheel? Like, what was that? What's that all about, Yannick? Yeah, Yannick's out of this one. Seems to have hurt himself somehow. Clark has picked himself up a penalty. Thorejo will gain that position on Clark, I'm sure of it. There it is. Hans just behind Van der Hart, and I believe that is Debris and Langstadler. Debris, I'm sure, will hold that position. Looks like he's got decent enough pace here. That was very mucky between Debris and Thorejo there, and to be honest, I'm not sure how much of the blame falls on Thorejo for those incidents. He just didn't need to be that aggressive. Very close now between Van der Hart and Clark, as Thorejo does make the overtake on Clark while he's racing. Dislocated my thumb. I'm guessing you got the wheel trapped in the thumb. Jesus Christ, Yannick. So, I mean, is this the first time in this league's history where we've had a driver injure themselves during the race, can't make a corner without pain? I'm hoping you dislocated it before the race and it's just the first time we're hearing about this, because that's, if so, that's quite horrible that you just dislocated your thumb here and there. Very sorry, mate. I'm really sorry to hear that. This is why they, rally drivers always say, keep your thumbs out of the steering wheel. There is reason to their madness. Incident with Chubbs. I thought so. Chubbs, you've killed a man. I hope you're happy, Chubbs. You have killed a man. You've injured him beyond repair. His thumb will never return. Oh, speaking of death, Luke. Oh, God. Luke. I mean, he's round and round and round. Might have gotten dizzy after that one. But there is the murderer in question. Evil bastard. How dare he. But yeah, Yannick, mate, I hope honestly you get that checked and it heals quickly. That's awful to hear, man. You know, there's risks even with pretend racing cars. As we drive our pretend race cars around pretend racetracks, even then you're at risk of injuring yourself. As Captain Chubbs has murdered a man. Yannick had to be airlifted away, never to be seen again. I hope we see him again, to be fair. He did announce the other day that he's planning on not doing next season, which I really hope that's not true. I very much can blame Chubbs, Yannick. No, I can blame him. He's a murderer. Don't show him any sympathy, he's a murderer. He should pay for his crimes. Well, that was interesting. I mean, it kind of got in the way of a couple of battles talking about that. That is very interesting news. The murderer in question, now ahead of Jolt Langstadler. I'm going to call him the murderer for the rest of the season. The evil bastard. Look at him. I bet he's smiling under that helmet. He knows what he's done. He's killed an innocent Belgian man. He just made the move on Langstadler. Hans still behind Van der Hart. Van der Hart has the tyre advantage here. Hans is not doing a very good job whatsoever on those tyres. You'd imagine Van der Hart is going to increase that gap between the two of them and hopefully catch up to Thorejo. Hopefully for his sake, of course. I don't take sides. Tyre advantage Van der Hart has on both drives around him, and this could be a very consistent round for Van der Hart. P3 in the first race and then P4 in the last one. Looks like he might be getting another P4 if things go his way in this one. Yeah, Chubbs only waited to give it back so he could see your dead body. That's what it was. He wanted to see the man he just killed. Look at him in the whites of his eyes. That's what it was. Evil bastard. Mitchell is still just ahead of Sutters, but the gap has closed and we will see a fight for the lead, I am sure of it. And I don't want to jinx it, but every time we've seen Sutters in the position where it counts, where it matters, he doesn't deal too well under high pressure situations. It often bubbles over the top when it comes to Sutters fighting for a championship. And that's not me being horrible, that is just a critical evaluation of how things have gone in the past. There have been crashes in the past when Sutters is fighting for a championship, and hopefully there isn't one here, because Sutters this time has the advantage for the first time in one of these scenarios. Sutters has the advantage, so he doesn't need to put everything on the tables. He can afford a Jake Witchell win here. It would just mean Witchell has the 2 sets of mediums next week as well, but Sutters is not thinking that way. He's thinking of maximising every single point he can get in this round, ending all chances early, but Witchell covers that one off nicely. And now Witchell goes for the inside. Sutters falls to the outside. Side by side still through the chicane. Ooh, contact there, but both staying side by side. Sutters just forced off the circuit slightly. It looks like Witchell maybe doesn't have the pace to keep Sutters behind him. The Supra is the quickest car at this track tonight, and Sutters is taking every advantage he can get because of it. It's been clinical driving all season from Jake Witchell. It's been aggressive driving from Will Sutters. 2 very different driving styles between the two, but 2 very effective driving styles. Neither of them have pushed it too far so far. They have had their incidents though. Even from the very first round of the season they were crashing into each other. But all of them, I think, so far have just looked accidental, including the one tonight. All been pretty accidental incidents. And Witchell still leads going into the penultimate lap. Coming out of the first corner, and then it's up through the uphill S's. Quite difficult to follow another car up here. And the gap between Witchell and Sutters is closing slightly. Sutters all over the back of Witchell. Witchell moves to the inside, Sutters to the outside. Witchell, is he going to cover that overtake? He is, very well. This is great defending from the Brighton man. And now Sutters back to the outside, Witchell to the inside. Witchell again covers that overtake very well. Witchell is doing a masterclass in defending here. Got the immovable object versus the unstoppable force this time round, and this has been the story of these two. This is what I mean, they have very different driving styles. It is difficult to stop Jake Witchell, well, it's difficult to get past him, but it's also difficult to stop Will Sutters. And this time round, the Rock leads out for another lap. We are on the final lap now, and it is very much a story of Sutters doing everything he can to attack Witchell, but nothing is stopping him. Nothing is stopping the charge of Jake Witchell, so much so that Callum is catching in the background. We did see Stijn van 't Hart as well get to the top 4 as well, so good, consistent performance all night from van 't Hart. Sutters moves to the outside. Witchell, oh, he's made a mistake there. Almost left a gap there for Sutters to go through, covered it off nicely. And now this is one of the last overtaking chances. There's one more after this one. Sutters not really quite in the perfect opportunity to get it done. Sutters will be thinking about the hairpin coming up. Witchell, the immovable force. Is he going to brake? Can the Rock move? Covers it well again, and Witchell is holding this race lead extraordinarily well. Callum is now fully in the fray. If there was another lap, Callum could get involved in this top 3 fight, but for now it is all Jake Witchell. Final corner coming up. Will Sutters will have one more chance to make the move. Is Jake Witchell going to be able to cover it? Sutters thinks about it. He braked very late, but it's not quite enough. Witchell brakes later. And this time round, the unstoppable force cannot quite beat the immovable object. Jake Witchell, the Rock of defending, takes his win for tonight and will also take double mediums alongside Will Sutters next week. So all equal between these two. Gap closes slightly. Callum, P3, after an impressive debut and an impressive night as well from Steinbad to Hart. P3, P4, P4, very consistent. Rick Debris, not too bad from him after earlier stuff in the races, P5, and then Ruben Threjo, P6. The Murderer, P7, after killing a Belgian man. And then it's Luke Clark in P8, Sollang Sadler in P9, and then Kieran Kevin rounds out the top 10 with Adam Hands. Wow, that front right. Adam, what are you doing, mate? But what a win from Jake Witchell, really demonstrating the best of what he can do. Clean and clinical defending from him and aggressive attacking from the P2 man in Will Sutters. And this is what I was talking about, different driving styles. Anything can happen now as we have, as interesting as the fight is going to get, going into the final round. The gap has increased slightly from before this round, but it closed just that little bit more back again between Witchell and Sutters that time through. So the title was all to play for. The Constructors, I believe, is pretty much decided now. Toyota will have a massive advantage on Honda going to this final round. But going to the final round, the Drivers' Championship, I still believe is all to play for between Witchell and Sutters. So do tune in next week. We will be doing interviews of the title contenders next week, and we'll be doing interviews after the race as well. Doing interviews all around. The only reason we're not doing interviews tonight is I need to get to work in a couple of minutes' time. And I'm not even wearing my work clothes at the moment, so we will end the stream in just a couple of moments' time. But that was a very interesting race indeed. And next week we will have the high-speed ring for the title decider. Will's just asked if we're doing interviews. We'll do interviews next week. That's what I was just saying. We'll do interviews next week because I do need to get going soon. So that was an exciting one. Very good to see. Not really the kind of racing we're used to, I think it's fair to say, and we'll see very similar kinds of racing next week. Slipstream Fest next week. We will get interviews with the two title contenders at the very least. And it's all to play for. But impressive stuff from Witchell, impressive stuff from Sutters, both winning a race tonight. They will carry the double mediums over to next week. And so will Callum if he joins us, debuting tonight and breaking the record for the most different winners in a season. We're at 11 now. Also, Callum winning on his debut, just like I did, just like Jake Witchell did, and just like I'm sure there's probably someone else did. Captain Chubbs. Chubbs also won his debut. There you go. Myself, Chubbs, Witchell, and Callum have all won on our debut. Thank you very much. I'm a genius. I'm brilliant at this. I think that's it. If anyone knows who else has won on their debut, please say it in the Discord and let me know, and I'll use that as a statistic next week or something. I don't know. But yeah, cheers for everyone who tuned in, and we will see you same time next week for what could be a very exciting end to what's been a brilliant season of racing. Thank you for joining us all the way through, if you have, and thank you for joining us tonight.